Okay. Well, it says you are live. So apparently I are live. Hi, welcome. My name is Roger Nolan, despite what it says in the chats. Hi, Julie. Good to have you here. Jean, Brad, and Ted, all the way from Sweden. Thank you for joining us. This is fantastic. So we're almost ready to start. It's almost 9 a.m. here in Southern California. But it does say Elisha Goldstein. If I chat in something, it's going to say Elisha Goldstein. So it's not Elisha who's chatting. Although when I first saw his name come up, I thought he was sending a text, a chat. But I happen to know he's in Utah with his family on an RV vacation. So interesting. Hello, Gwen from Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome. Glad to have you. Oh, the regulars are here. And incidentally, I have in the little screen here my email address. If you would like to get in touch with me, I lead a weekday meditation every Monday through Friday, starting at 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. If you're interested, it's a free class. It's a free meditation. It's usually about 8 to 8:45 when we include all of the inquiry. Sometimes it goes a little longer. We hang out. Nice little community that we've developed here over the past 13 and a half weeks. And I've been doing this meditation Monday through Friday ever since our stay at home recommendation was given. And now we're well into our 14th week. So glad to have you. And some of the regulars from there are coming in, I can see. Hello, Emma. Good to have you. All right. Hey, Janine. Lovely to see you. Okay. I have a terrible echo, says Linda. Is anybody else getting an echo? Wondering why. I don't have anything else open that I know of. Could somebody chat in and let me know, are you getting an echo? No. Okay. So it sounds like some of you are, some of you aren't. Hello, Zurich. Welcome. Bobby, thank you for letting me know. And Teresa, oh, so lovely to see everybody. Okay, let's get started. So today I said I was going to be doing a Father's Day themed practice and a Father's Day themed talk. So what I'd like to actually touch upon today is an important experience that I had with my father when I was about 11 years old or so. He wanted me to watch a movie called Lost Horizon. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen this movie, 1937, RKO, starring Ronald Colman as an adventurer and statesman who his plane crashes in the mountains of Tibet, in the Himalayas, and he and his party make their way from the plane. Wonderful special effects, by the way, even down to the condensation of the breath. So they make their way to this strange valley with a temperate climate, and it's, guess what, Shangri-La. And there in Shangri-La, it's led by the High Lama, played by the inimitable Sam Jaffe. He was about I don't know how old Sam Jaffe was. He was pretty young at the time, and he had on this really, primitive old age makeup from the movies at that time. And he was supposed to be about 200 years old. So people live a long time in Shangri-La. Time goes very slowly. Okay, so I watched this movie. I really dug it. I really felt a fullness of heart while I was watching this with my father. And we really connected through that film. I think it was an important film for him too, because it came out when he was a teenager. And so fast forward a couple of years later, I'm in my junior high library and I find a book called My Land and My People on the shelf. By a guy named the Dalai Lama. And I thought, wait a minute, Lama, like the High Lama? Is there a Shangri-La? Is it true? And I pulled the book out of the shelf and I started looking at the pictures. And when I looked at the pictures of where the Dalai Lama had lived at the Portala in Lhasa in Tibet, and then I started reading his story, I really felt that kind of fullness of heart again. There was something really pulling me and I didn't know what it was. Could just be because I saw that movie. I don't know. Okay, and then many years later, okay, so this is about 1997 now, And I'm at the Bodhi Tree bookstore in Los Angeles. Do you remember the Bodhi Tree? For those of you who are old Los Angeles residents, you might remember it was a new age metaphysical bookstore. And I was rummaging around in the stacks, and a book fell on my head, and it was Wherever You Go, There You Are by Jon Kabat-Zinn. And somebody who worked there saw this happen, and they said, yeah, a lot of people have that book, right, Gary? And he said, if a book falls on your head here, you have to buy it. So I bought it. And that got me started as a mindfulness practitioner. And then I started teaching mindfulness in 2002, and on it goes. Now, all that happened because I watched a movie with my father back in the 1960s. This is what we call in the Dharma interdependent co-arising. One thing happens and it causes something else to happen. If I had not seen that movie with my father, I doubt I would be sitting here right now doing this, because that really started me on a path, on a trajectory. And I bring this up, first of all, because I wanted to honor my father and to thank him for paving this path for me that brought me here today. Unknowing, he had no idea, of course, what he was doing. I don't know, maybe he did. But I don't think he knew that 50 some years later, his son would be sitting here doing this. 55 years later now, would be sitting here doing this. But it's just about how all of the things in our lives open us to something else. And if we took one of those elements out of our lives, we wouldn't be the persons we are today. And so, really, we're here because of miracles, countless miracles along the way in our lives. So, remember your fathers today and honor them as best you can. And I know that some of you have had difficult relationships with your father. My father and my relationship was difficult for a while. And I'm just saying that if it weren't for even for that, you wouldn't be the person that you are today. And so we're honoring interdependent co-arising in our practice today, that slender thread that connects us throughout our lives. But it really is a miraculous thread. And so why don't we begin by making sure that we are at ease. Make sure that you're comfortable in your body. You can be sitting, you can be lying down, you can be standing, you can do walking meditation if you like. Perfectly okay. The instructions that I'm giving are just suggestions. You always have choice about your practice. And in line with that choice, you can leave the eyes completely open. You can close them halfway or so and just gaze unfocused toward a blank space in front of you, or you can close your eyes all the way. And if at any time you need to adjust your position or open your eyes, feel free to do so. So we'll be sitting now for approximately 23 minutes. And as we begin, even now, you can become aware of the interdependent co-arising of experiences. You can feel in the body an almost constant experience of sensation as cells communicate with each other, interact with each other, do the work that they need to be doing. Each one of these cells contributing to your life right now. If you encounter any tightness or tension in the body, allowing that to soften as much as it will. Perhaps feeling the touch points where your hips or legs are touching a chair, a cushion, a bench, or a bed. You are now present if you are feeling these things. You are 100% mindful. Perhaps there are sounds in your world. Taking a moment to simply notice the experience of sound. The experience of sound as an event, rising out of stillness, having its duration, returning back to stillness. The sounds are brought about by causes and conditions. Sounds do not exist without them. Our lives are brought into existence through causes and conditions, interdependent, and all of these causes and conditions have come together to create this being sitting here right now, listening to these sounds. And when a sound arises, it's pretty normal for the mind to label it, to identify it as something. And perhaps along with that label comes a memory or a story about that sound. Perhaps there is a liking or a not liking of a sound. And thoughts, too, are events of the mind. Thoughts, too, have their moment of arising, their duration, and then they pass away or they become other thoughts. And thoughts can sometimes bring with them emotions. Emotions are merely events of the body, sensations that have their time of arising, have their duration, and their passing away. And the emotions that we might have based on a thought could be related to our own history. What might cause one emotion for me might cause a very different emotion for you based on a sound or a thought. Because each of us has come to this moment through countless interconnected causes and conditions that brought us here in this moment, feeling this body sitting here. And then finding for yourself a way of connecting to the present moment through a physical sensation that works best for you in terms of your comfort, your ease, and your ability to be present with that object. And a present moment connecting object could be the sensations of your hands resting in your lap or on your legs. Or it could be the sensations of breathing in and breathing out. Or it could simply be sounds. Any of these and any other physical sensation will connect you to the present moment. And so choosing for yourself where you would like to dwell in this moment. How would you like to connect to this moment? And then as best you can, staying with that experience until inevitably your attention is going to wander. The mind will drift away. You will become lost in thought. But you won't be lost for long. Eventually, you will wake up and remember, oh, I'm meditating. And in that moment, you have become mindful again. And you can gently and kindly invite your attention back to your connecting object. And so let's practice together here in this moment, this precious moment that has brought us all together here through countless miracles. So let's practice together in this silence. As you continue, it may be helpful to remember that the wandering mind is not a problem. It's actually the most important aspect of the practice because it allows us to eventually become mindful again, teaching us that anytime we wish, we can rejoin the present moment already in progress. And as you continue, if you wish, you can maintain the attention on your connecting object, that sensory experience that helps you anchor yourself in the present moment. And you can also be available for any experience that arises. So you're feeling the sensations of your hands, let's say, and then a sound arises. And you can shift your attention to that sound. Investigate it, be curious about it, perhaps even notice the stories or thoughts that come from it. And then when you're done with it, or it's done, you can invite the attention back to the sensations in your hands, or whatever you are using to connect to the present moment. And so practicing a kind of open awareness meditation, maintaining attention in the present moment and being available for anything that arises in that moment, eventually returning the attention back to the connecting object. And so we'll practice together in these last few minutes of silence. taking as much time as you need to transition from this practice, or you can just keep practicing if you like. The bell is just a suggested time of ending. If you are on to something, stay with it. And maybe you want to stretch a bit. Maybe you'd like to get a sip of water, stand up if you weren't standing up already. And there was some question about the book that fell on my head. Hang on a second. I'll see if I can reach it from here. It's right on this bookshelf. If I don't pull everything off. Here it is. This is the book that fell on my head at the Bodhi Tree bookstore. Wherever You Go, There You Are by Jon Kabat-Zinn. And of course, his name is spelled strangely, JONKABAT-ZINN. Highly recommended if you don't have it. And this is just, and if that book hadn't fallen on my head, I wouldn't be here. If my dad hadn't shown me that movie, I wouldn't be here because I wouldn't have known about llamas and I wouldn't have pulled that Dalai Lama book down. And that just got me started on a trajectory. So that's what this was all about today. So what did you notice in the practice today? And for those of you who have to leave us, that's great. Go ahead. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed practicing with you today. If anyone wants to stay around and chat in, I'm here for inquiry. If you noticed anything or have any questions or confusion about any of the practice or the instructions, feel free to chat in, and I'll field those questions as best I can. But the interdependent causes and conditions, the interdependent co-arising experience. And hello, Darla from PA. Good to have you. And Nan from Venice, California. One of these days, we're going to have somebody from Venice, Italy, and that will be interesting. And Brad, hello. Thank you for sharing that in there. Really appreciate it. Interdependent co-arising, interdependently co-arising causes and conditions. These things are really interesting because if you start to think back through your own life about all of the things that had to happen for you to be sitting right here, it's pretty miraculous. And then you start thinking about your parents' lives and all the things that had to happen in their lives for them to get together, for them to have you as a child. I mean, it's pretty incredible stuff. And then we go back even further and further. And, you know, it's really an interesting exploration. I think it's one of the most interesting aspects of the Dharma. And for me, that's what I am. I am this collection of interdependently co-arising causes and conditions. Bobby felt like she was sitting in an aviary. Yeah, you're welcome, Ted. Thank you. So many birds communicating. Yeah, right. And then you start to then investigate that sound. I was actually on a retreat once with Jon Kabat-Zinn, and we came back in from a walking meditation practice. And he said, "Did you all hear that bird in the tree?" And we all, how many of you heard a bird in a tree? That's what he said. And we all raised our hands because there was this very noisy bird. And he said, "That wasn't a bird. None of you heard a bird. You heard a sound." Then the mind labeled it a bird. That's an interesting aspect of sound as well. Coincidentally, Jon Kabat-Zinn has also been doing daily meditations the last 3 months. Wraps up next week, but it's been amazing. Yes, those are at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I think those are at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, he is ending this cycle the 26th. So this coming Friday, I think, will be the last one of the cycle. These are all also available through an archive. So you can find that probably by Googling. And Gwen, I'm thinking about Happy Solstice Day and a return to see our goodness. Is this solstice? Is this, did it? Oh, it's the 21st, isn't it? Oh my gosh, I forgot all about it. Normally I do a solstice meditation on the solstice. I completely forgot. Oh, wow. Well, this being Father's Day, I thought, why not? Okay, thank you, Gwen, for that. And happy solstice, everybody. Longest day, shortest night, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. Yeah, shining a light on that. And returning to see our goodness versus what's wrong with us. You know, Thich Nhat Hanh has a great meditation where he suggests, or an adjustment where he suggests, rather than saying what's wrong, say to yourself, what's right? What's right? And really get in touch with that. Thank you. Happy solstice. Yes, indeed. Is this different from cause and effect? I don't think so. What you may also be alluding to is what is sometimes called karma, which is really just the law of cause and effect. If I drink a cup of coffee, then there's going to be an effect from that, and that's the karma of that coffee. Uh, I'm really referring more to the interdependent, interacting things in our lives that if we took one of those elements away, we wouldn't be who we are. So it may be the same, it may be a little bit different. But thanks, Eileen. Good to have you here. Hi, Teresa. Oh my gosh, so nice to have you. Good to have you, Teresa. Um, Someone using an electric saw in the background, and while this normally bothers me, I was able to just go with the sound. And actually reminded me of my father when he worked in the garage. Okay, well, this is the another reason why I think sound is a very fertile practice object. Because first of all sound is happening in the present moment. So if you're listening to a sound, you are connecting to the present moment. So that can provide that connecting point, okay, that anchor point. Second thing is that sound does create all kinds of thoughts because it goes through the ears, of course, and in about a tenth of a second, it passes through the auditory canal and gets there into the hippocampus, and the hippocampus says, this is what this is, and we remember it as being something, and that could have an association. It can go down an associative neural pathway with that sound. And this is why it's very interesting to notice sound, because it does create a lot of interesting thoughts that we can follow as well. Remembering, too, that a sound is simply a sound. It's nothing about us, even though the mind creates stories about us. The sound is a neutral experience. We may not like it because it's bothering us. However, it's really just a sound that exists. It's not bothering anybody until they start thinking about it. Hey, Mike, good to have you. Happy Father's Day, Michael, all the way from Lawrence, Kansas, my old friend. All right, good. Oh, yes, cause and effect. So Eileen's computer crashed, so I'll repeat that. What you may be referring to in terms of cause and effect is also karma. Uh, Anything that happens has an effect. So yes, interdependent co-arising is similar to cause and effect. Of course, it's much more intertwined with a whole lot of other factors in there. But yeah, if this didn't happen, that thing won't happen. But because this did happen, that thing will happen. Sound is impersonal. Yeah, trippy. Sound is impersonal. Sound is neutral. All sounds are neutral. There may be a sound you don't like. However, that's a personal preference, and that is your mind creating a sense of self, that arising of a sense of self that wants that sound to go away, perhaps. Thank you, Nancy. Good to have you too. Um, you mean if I had been raised by a loving mother, I wouldn't necessarily been a better person? Um, you'd be different. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. You would not be the Bobby that we know today. That's all I can say. The trajectory of sound, so interesting. Yeah. And CDS, it would be nice to be able to let things happen instead of feeling like controlling all that happens or that things have to happen. Yeah. Well, that's a natural tendency that humans have. The truth is, there's a lot we don't control, including sound, which again is why sound is a great practice object. If I'm sitting in this space where I am today and a loud car goes by my window, I have no way of controlling that. Now I can push back against it with my thoughts and say, oh, I don't like that sound. Why is that person doing that? It's bothering me. I'm meditating. Don't they know I'm trying to need quiet? Okay. I can push back against that, but that's just me causing myself suffering needlessly. I could also go, wow, there's a sound. What are its qualities? Oh, loud volume, moving from left to right, rumbling, squeaking, squealing, whatever it might be. When I break it down to those elements, the personal tends to drop away, and I can simply notice it as the experience that it is. This is extremely important in our daily life. We can just begin to notice things as they are, not through what the mind colors them as being. We can notice that too. It's just another thing to be curious about. However, it can lead away to a more accepting way of being and perhaps less controlling. One of my teachers likes to say that if you hold on to things too tight with that preference, you're going to get rope burn because the rope's just going to slide through there. So maybe the open hand is a better way to approach that. Hi, Hillary. The distinction between the sound and the labeling of sound is the difference between sensation and perception. Yeah, I would say that's absolutely accurate, right? Which is more central to the practice of mindful meditation? Both. We're not here to stop the mind. We're not here to stop the mind from perceiving, nor are we here to stop or control anything. We're simply here to notice what's happening. And the perception that I am coloring that sound with a thought is a very important insight. And we can actually turn our attention toward that. Imagining I have a spotlight here in my hand, okay? This is my awareness. And okay, I'm going to focus it on my breathing. All right, breathing in, breathing out. Oh, a sound. Now I'm going to take that spotlight and I'm going to focus it on that sound. Oh, now I'm having a thought about the sound. Hey, I think I'll focus it on my mind now. Any of those is valid in mindfulness practice because we're here to know everything that's happening as best we can. I hope that's helpful for you, Hillary. Let me know if you have any other questions. Ah, leaf blowing. Okay. This is a place for me too, Brad, that you and I, Broham, you know, and I would say that probably 80 to 90, 95% of the population has an aversion toward the sound of a leaf blower. That was actually an important meditation for me about 20 years ago or so. I was sitting one day in my living room and there was a leaf blower next door, and I noticed it was really bothering me. And I realized, wait a minute, that's just a sound. It has nothing to do with me. I made it about myself. That was where it kind of opened my awareness to taking things personally and the impersonal quality of sound. Yeah, that was the name escapes me now. I can't remember which teacher said that. I want to give him credit. Joseph Goldstein. Joseph Goldstein says that about rope burn. Um, okay, thank you, Hillary. Great. Rivka, thank you very much. Glad to have you. Love the name, Rivka Orion. Wow, cool. Namaste. Absolutely. Namaste at home. Can you repeat the rope analogy? So our tendency is, someone mentioned controlling and not allowing things to be just to happen as they are. And our tendency as humans is to either imagine that we can control something or to want to try to control something that is essentially uncontrollable, such as the sounds in our world. I can't stop the birds. I can't stop the leaf blowers, and on it goes. Oh, I could try, but I would cause myself a lot of suffering if I did that, and probably a lot of other things too. And so one of my teachers, Joseph Goldstein, the analogy he uses is, if you're really clinging to control of something, you're holding on tight, you're going to get rope burn because that's going to change and it's going to move through your hands and you're going to burn yourself. So just open your hand and let the rope slide through. And that rope is life. That rope is all of the things that are happening to us right now. Can I just allow that to be? Now, it isn't if I can change something, if I can control it, yeah, absolutely. I'll get in there and do it. If I cannot, can I allow it to be so that I cause myself less suffering in trying to push back on it and trying to control it? This is a pretty deep teaching. So you might want to roll that around for a while in your meditation practice. Susan, hello. Good to have you. One of my regulars. And Gwen, what about someone dumping their shame and plan on others? How do you meditate with that? Well, that's what's here, first of all. We don't want it to be here. It's not something pleasant that we're enjoying. However, that's what's here, if that's what's here. And so we begin with that. This person is doing that. That's what that person is doing. Now, kind of like the sound, what does that have to do with me? If that person's shame and pain are bothering them so much that they feel like they need to dump it on me, what does that have to do with me? That's their choice. I'm making it personal, just like I might make the sound personal. I don't like that sound. I wish they would stop. Do you hear the pronouns? If a pronoun arises, I don't like what that person is doing to me, then you are taking it personally. But the first step really is to acknowledge this is what's here, to acknowledge I don't like this, this is hard, to acknowledge the feelings, the sensations, the emotions, the thoughts that we're having about that experience. That opens a wider space around it. So we're not so constricted, just concentrating on that one aspect of life. We've opened it up now and created a lot of space around it. This is Joseph Goldstein's opening of the hand, or what I like to call just opening the tight fist. I open it, here it is. Here are the feelings I'm having, here's the sensation, but I'm not holding it like this. Very different. Let me know if that helps you, Gwen. Marietta, Georgia. Okay, so you and Gwen are neighbors. You're up in Marietta. All right. I've been to Marietta. How you doing, Tony? How are things down there? So any other questions? Anything that you noticed in that practice? Anything I can help you with? Again, I've put my email address in the little view window there. Feel free to contact me, especially if you want to get a Zoom link to the daily meditations that I'm hosting, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, Monday through Friday. Very similar to what we're doing here in this format. And so feel free to contact me. Let me know how you're doing. I don't want to post the Zoom link in the chat window because I don't really want to broadcast it. I want to make sure that only the folks come that are, there for good purposes. And so I hope you understand, but feel free to contact me. All right, everyone. So I'm going to leave it here. You are released on your own recognizance. Enjoy the rest of your solstice. Enjoy the rest of your Father's Day, if you are a father or have a father that you're going to be hopefully maybe seeing soon. And Jean, hello. Nice to hear from you. Been extremely connected with your words and meditation today. Oh, good. Something that I've really had problems with. Thank you. Oh, fantastic. Well, feel free to contact me. And if there's any help I can give you in the realm of mindfulness, I'm happy to do that. And Gary, thank you very much. Good to have you. Sandy, oh, as always. Oh, Christina, mwah. Good to have you all. All right, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. We'll end the broadcast. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate sharing this practice with you. Bye-bye.